Hey there, everybody, it's Ryan from Stromboli Games, and here I have a new game for you guys, a new series. It's a game called From the Depths. Now, I do new in quotes because it's not necessarily new for me. I have 102 hours in this game. It's not a groundbreaking amount of hours, not a groundbreaking amount of time, but it's enough to really get this series going because now I feel like I'm knowledgeable enough to really do a decent series on it. Now, From the Depths can be a fairly complicated game. Can be fairly complicated. It is fairly complicated to learn how to build the more advanced things. And the build system is a little bit different than what you might be used to if you play things like Minecraft or Space Engineers or basically any kind of game where you build things. So what I highly recommend that you do is go to single player and open the knowledge base, and here you have all sorts of options. Learn by watching, that might be covered up by my little face cam, but I assure you it's there. Learn by watching, learn by visual guide, reading, doing, learn by messing around. I highly recommend you do at least these over here, if only to get the basics down. I mean, obviously, I feel like you should do a lot of these, but it's okay. Like, this developer tutorial is pretty useful. Weapon guides, because weapons are, particularly lasers, are quite complex to build. I mean, once you learn how to do it, it's fairly simple, but it can be kind of confusing at first. Now, From the Depths, as you might be able to tell somewhat from the background here, there are 4 different layers to the game. There is undersea, you can have submarines, all sorts of stuff. There are surface vessels, there are aircraft, and they are spacecraft in the game as well. Now, all these things interact and fight one another, as you can see here. Missiles are flying around, shells are flying. It's just complete chaos, really. And yeah, so it's a lot of fun. The possibilities really are nearly endless as to what you can build, what you can do. It's quite awesome, really. But here we have story missions. The story missions are important because a lot of the things that you can do in the campaign, a lot of items that you need, are unlocked through the story missions. Things like decoys, for instance, that will direct missiles off course. They'll hit the decoys first before they hit the actual ship. Now, the campaign is quite interesting. You can see it here, the little description. I'll give you a couple seconds to read that if you want. It's quite interesting because there's all sorts of other factions, and actually I'm just going to load up into a new game. I'm just going to leave everything at the default settings. We're going to load up, and here it spawns us in the starting fortress. Now, fortress are one of the types of ships that you will have. Fortresses are near stationary objects. They can move, but not very quickly. And they are used for mainly resource gathering. There's nothing stopping you from throwing resource gathering items on other ships, but I recommend fortresses. Now, speaking of resource gathering, this green circle that you see surrounding us is a resource zone. Now, if you pull up the map, resource zone. Resource zones are marked with that RZ, and if you mouse over it, you will see how many materials are available in it at the moment. You will see the growth of it. That's how much it grows back. Now, obviously, I am actually taking some of the materials away faster than they're actually regenerating. Now, that's okay. But this map, they have now made it that you will need either radar or line of sight with a fleet to see the rest of the map. But if you could see the rest of the map, you would see a quite large assortment of sea, islands, all sorts of stuff. And you'd also be able to see fleet movements. You'd be able to see AI fleets moving around the map. Now, of course, there's nothing that we can see because I just spawned us in. But there's definitely fog of war now. When I last started playing, when I last played about a few weeks ago, a couple months ago, that wasn't in there. They did not have fog of war. It's a really nice feature. But another new item, well, it's not new, it's been in the game, but it wasn't functional before, is this. Now, we can actually... First of all, to build, you look at what you want to build on, and you hit B. This opens up your build menu. You have all sorts of controls on the left-hand side. Most notably, what you will need is E for inventory. This opens up a little interface that will show you all the things you could possibly build with, and including some of them have submenus, stuff like not like that. If they're green, they have submenus that you can go into, and there's more stuff like lightweight alloy block. There's all these separate sub blocks to it. So you have stuff for water, sailing, air, control surfaces, all sorts of stuff. Engines, there's all sorts of guides here to help you teach you how to actually build engines efficiently, which I will get into in future videos in this series. But for now, I'm just doing a brief overview of everything about From the Depths that I can fit into in a regular amount of time for a video for me. I won't be able to get to everything. But anyway, there's all sorts of stuff here. And what I recommend doing until you really get the hang of it, maybe if you want to get right into the action, there are simple weapons that you can just click. Like I want to get a large cannon, and you can just move it around. You use WASD to move it around like that. Space brings you up. Stuff like that. You know, it's all good. You can also look around and move around that way. It's up to you, and then you left-click the place, and bam, you have that cannon. Now, that is actually a weapon. So, say I want to shoot stuff with it. I can come over here, move it over to all, or assign whatever kind of custom loadout, and you can see that the cannon is looking around to where I'm looking. And then left-click to fire. Or middle mouse to fire, my bad. Left click will use whatever kind of item you have. If you look at the bottom of the screen, right now I have my pistol selected. You unlock this using different points that you'll earn. This is a grenade launcher, which actually has different types of ammunition. The yellow one that you just saw fly out is high explosive. It'll just explode on impact. You right click to change it. It is now blue. Blues won't explode on impact. They'll just kind of bounce around and then explode. And my favorite ones are these red ones. They will stick to a target and then explode. They will stick to a target. They will stick to a target. Oh, they just take a little bit to explode. It's okay. So I'm just really blowing up my starting fortress. Alright, but you get the point. Pretty cool weapons. Binoculars. Left click to zoom in, right click to zoom out. A minigun. SMG. Telekinesis, this allows you to move stuff around, as you might have guessed. A sprayer for painting, spades for adjusting terrain, input, and then, of course, suicide. Which I don't recommend. But here we are in this starting fortress, and the starting fortress at the time being gives you a small custom cannon to work with here. Now, these fire the same way that you fire the other ones. You can use middle mouse, or left control, that will also fire. Now this is a very basic custom cannon. You will be able to build much better ones in the future. So you're probably wondering, this is a lot of building to just keep on building things over and over again. You don't actually have to. So say I want to save this as a blueprint. All I have to do is hit escape while looking somewhere at this, and I hit save constructible. That's all there is to it. And then from there, there's actually little directions all over here. I'm falling off. This right here will spawn in vehicles and fortresses. Now, since this is in campaign, there are resources which are below the little item bar. From left to right, it is natural resources, metal, oil, scrap, and crystal, with them becoming increasingly rare as you go to the right. Which is funny because our oil is going up a lot faster than anything. Regardless. Q. You hit Q to interact with things. And then here it has load design. And then you can click on anything you want. Now, I don't think I have anything that will actually be able to spawn in. This might be able to spawn in. And then you hit load. But before you actually do this, you can tell it how long you want it to hold onto it. Hold until it's this percentage of complete. And how far away, and you can see the little green glowy thing move away and closer to me as I'm adjusting where I want it to spawn in. So I'm going to go ahead and hit load, and I may not have the resources for this, but these little tentacle things, they're called repair tentacles, will start working on building the ship that you have selected. Now, this is just a tiny little, as you saw, a little tiny automated bomber. I actually might be able to build that. But, yes, that's how you build things. You just load up, what is this thing called? It's called a vehicle blueprint spawner, and that should be found under miscellaneous. Yeah, it's right here. And then you have respawner and scrapper, which is, whoa, they're like freaking out. And that is right here. And once that finishes building, or actually just right now, you can hit Q. It'll tell you anything that's in the starting area, that it does not include the vessel or fortress or whatever that the spawner is on. You click on this, scrap and turn off. It'll reclaim any resources that you had in it and give it back to you. Might have to check on how much you actually get back, but I think it gives you all of it, or at least most of it. Someone in the comments will set me straight, I know. It's been a little bit since I played. But, yeah, and then this block here, Fortress Controller, they actually spawn them in now, and right away. On the top left, you have all sorts of controls that you won't be able to see. But, yeah, TG brings you up and down, I turns you right, Y turns you left, H is strafe, K is strafe right, H is strafe left. And, yeah, all sorts of cool stuff. You can move these fortresses around. Of course, they take a fair bit of power. Engines, I mentioned before, I'm going to do a separate tutorial on the different components of the game, because they can be a little complex. These collect, as you can see, natural, metal, scrap, and crystal. Crystal does not actually spawn in every single zone. Some of the zones don't have everything, but that's what this does. You look at things and it'll give you all sorts of information on it. Q to toggle it on and off. Like say you want to let the zone regenerate a little bit. Not sure why, but say you want to do that, or maybe you just want to save power. But I don't really want to. The same thing goes for any other things like this. Like looking at the engine block, current usage, fuel per power usage, stuff like that. You can make it more efficient, and again, I will get into that later. On the other side here, you have the oil extractors. They work the same way as those resource collectors over there. Over here, you have fuel storage to increase your fuel capacity on the ship. By the way, on the bottom right, where you see the 900, and then in brackets 900, the little fuel icon, little power, like lightning bolt, that shows your current, that shows your current vehicle's stock of resources. And as you can see, the engine that we have is just barely providing enough power to completely power this fortress. We're really good on fuel. We haven't really fired anything, so we're good on ammo. This right here is, I forget exactly what it's called. It's called a fuel processor. It will turn oil, 10 oil per second, into 100 fuel per second. So that's how you generate fuel. Over here is ammo storage. Ammo 100 out of 100. And then, say you want to build more ammo storage. You go to miscellaneous, it should be, no, resources. Ammo barrel, right here. Alright. And then say I want to place one right there, and look at the bottom right, it's at 900. It's at 1,000 now. Now that 1,000 is a display of how much ammo you're storing in the vehicle itself. With the custom cannons, I'm just going to gloss over this now. I'm not going to get too far into it. Ah! I fell all the way down. What is this sorcery? Nah. Let me back up. Yeah. Okay. By the way, I'm going to be looking at the turret. If you want to build in a turret, you have to either hit the right bracket to edit it once you're on the vehicle it's attached to, or just look at it and hit B. But, yes, ammo boxes. Ammo boxes will give the weapon an internal ammo supply. They're used for other things too that I'll get into in a future video, but for now, know that ammo boxes will give your turrets an internal supply of ammo. When that gets used up, it will start using the fortresses or the aircrafts or the vessel it's attached to supply of ammunition, and that's in the ammo barrels, which will regenerate over time if you have, let's just check and see if they've added that in. I don't think they have. But you can regenerate ammo using ammunition processors. An ammunition processor, as you can see on the right, that's where I'm reading this from, converts metal into ammunition and stores it in ammo barrels. This process requires power from its engines. Pretty straightforward. You place these down, it will turn metal into ammunition. I don't use those that often. I prefer just to let it regenerate slowly on its own, which I'm pretty sure it does, unless they change that. But last I remembered, it does regenerate naturally, albeit pretty slowly. So unless your ship has massive cannons all over the place and you can't keep up with it, you run out of ammo really quickly, I would honestly just try to avoid using those, because metal is a precious resource, and especially for building mid to late game ships, you need a lot of metal to build the hulls. Metal is, as you might expect, some of the toughest materials in the game. So, with all that being said, this is a pretty sweet game. I highly recommend you checking it out. Overall, there's not too many bugs. Performance has been an issue in the past, but he has done some optimizations. He's been upgrading the game engine. It uses Unity, by the way. All sorts of cool things planned for this game, including sea monsters, I hear. But, yes, all sorts of cool shit. You should totally check it out. And, of course, I will get into more in-depth tutorials in the future that I have kept talking. Now, today's supposed to be Medieval Engineers, however, the last update on Tuesday, all they do is add voice chat for multiplayer. Now, I realize they update every single week, so it's not always going to be a groundbreaking update, but for this week, not a whole lot that I can really show you guys in terms of an update. I mean, it's voice chat. You guys know what that is. You guys know how to use it. I believe the default key for that is U, in case you're wondering. Nothing that you can't look up on your own. Anyway, look forward to more videos for this in the future. They will be on Wednesdays from this point on. This is a little anomaly here. Until next time, though, this is Ryan from Stromboli Games, signing off.